Hi, welcome to the Thrive with Lyme Summit. We are back again. My name is Elizabeth Elliott with Fusion Stretch and Wellness in Louisville, Kentucky. And today I am excited to have Lauren Casey on the show. So, Lauren, I am excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining our audience this afternoon or morning, wherever you are and watching this. Thank you so much for being with us today. So, I know you have had a personal experience with Lyme. So tell me all about it.
Yeah, I'll just start from the beginning. So first off, hello everyone. Again, I'm Lauren Casey. I'm 24. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Twin Cities area. I was a psychology graduate from Gustavus Adolphus College in St. Peter, Minnesota, and I now work as a senior process optimization consultant. That's a mouthful, for a company called Turnberry Solutions. So getting right into it, my Lyme story has been very twisted and more like a puzzle. So I contracted it when I was 6, but did not know that I had Lyme when I was 6. Because
Real
it
quick.
didn't present like a bullseye at all. It was
So
more
you
like,
got a bite though.
yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
That's what we think. That's kind of the mystery, is we don't know how I contracted it,
Mhm.
when. Just I was 6, it presented as a rash. Went into the doctor and they had no clue where it came from, did all this allergy testing. Everything came back positive. So they gave me some steroids that got rid of the rash, but of course, the Lyme went untreated. So fast forward a little bit, 4 years later, I developed some tremors in the left side of my body, that was only on the left side of my body, and I was told I would grow out of it. Fast forward a few more years later, never grew out of it. And actually, it continued to get worse, spread to my left leg and my neck. And I have been dealing with that for the last 14 years now. And we never knew where it came from. Never knew, how to treat it, what it was. And still through all this, I was a competitive gymnast growing up, and it surprisingly never affected me there either, because these spells, as I called them, on the left side of my body, they only happened primarily at night when I slept.
Mhm.
So I was a gymnast growing up all through college as well. And then fast forward a few years later, still couldn't figure out why I was having these seizures. I went to the Mayo Clinic here in Minnesota, so very fortunate to have that nearby, only to get turned away after one night in the epilepsy unit. So they got the spells on camera with the EEG all hooked up to wires. Nothing abnormal, or yeah, nothing abnormal came back. So the mystery continued. And they told me, don't come back unless it gets worse. So from there, I was referred to Dr. Jeremy Schmo. He is based here in Minnetonka, Minnesota. He does functional neurology, um, and worked with him for a few months. Everything he tried was not working on me either. Couldn't figure out why that was. Everything that he would usually try on all his patients with movement disorders just didn't work on me. So then I was referred to another doctor, Dr. Megan Kirschling with One Agora Integrative Health, because Dr. Schmo suspected that something was going on with my gut health. Just something was going on, that the brain was not responding. So went on a bunch of supplements, all this stuff. Found out that I had terrible gut health, terrible hormonal imbalances, everything. And at this point, Lyme still was, I had no clue I had it. But still, with all these supplements, all that, nothing worked. So then we fast forward a few years later to 2020, good old COVID.
Mhm.
I was to be wedding. I was in my best friend's wedding that got moved to an alpaca farm because of COVID. So I went to the
Okay.
alpaca farm, and
Outside.
yeah,
Yeah.
something must have bit me there,
Mm.
and I got the bullseye. And I think from that, that is what woke up the Lyme that was lying dormant for 16 years.
Wow.
So I got super sick. Yes, I got super sick. And of course, as we Lymies know, it is the great imitator, as it's called. Lyme is very much one to mimic a lot of things. And of course, in my case, it mimicked COVID. So here I was taking all these COVID tests. Everything came back negative. Could not figure out what was going on. And I got better. Happened to be in a follow-up appointment with my regular doctor. And I mentioned, oh yeah, I was sick, for 2 weeks straight and I had the spot on my arm. And she happened to just, bring up, have you ever had Lyme disease? And I was like, not that I know of, but my mom mentioned the rash I had back when I was 6
Mm-hmm.
and got tested. At this point, Lyme Lyme tests aren't, great. They don't really pick up things after 16 years. So we did a different type of test, and this is how I was diagnosed. It tests for immune system response, whether it is responding acutely or more weakly. So with those tests, it showed that my immune system has just been weakly fighting off something for all these years. And that's kind of where the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. And we suspected, oh, I've had Lyme disease for 16 years and didn't know it. Um, and at this point, once I got reinfected from the alpaca farm, I started having real seizures rather than just non-epileptic ones. Still happening at night, but yeah, Lyme has been quite a journey for me. But it basically started from an alpaca farm. Or that's
Wow.
how
So
I found out I
had the Lyme. And so the tremors were at night, right?
yep.
And did they do you feel like because your body was able to relax? I mean, did they have any reason as to why they only happened at night and like not right before you were about to perform as a gymnast? I mean, how crazy, right? Uh,
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, that's still part of the mystery. We don't know why they happen at night.
but you still have them.
What works for me, yes, I still have them nightly. So I have two kinds.
Hmm.
I have the non-epileptic ones, which are only on the left side of my body. And
Okay.
then I have the unconscious full-blown seizures that happen probably once every month or two.
Okay.
So not as frequently, hoping that they stay like that or get
Right.
better.
Okay. Now, have they been worse I mean, do they seem to be getting less and less? Have you done the antibiotic treatment? I know you said some supplements. You talked about working on healing your gut microbiome.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are a
So
lot of
my
things.
treatment, I've tried a lot of things so far. One of the things that's worked the best initially when I found out after those 16 years was the Cowden protocol. And that's kind of a very extensive treatment. It's all holistic.
How do you
I
spell
found
that?
through
Can you spell that?
Cowden,
Okay,
Cowden.
Calvin. Okay,
Yep.
protocol.
Yep. So I transitioned to that after going on a round of minocycline, and that actually induced more seizures just because the die off was happening too fast. The Herx reaction was happening too fast and was too much for my body.
Hmm.
So transitioning to more of a holistic approach was a lot gentler,
Hmm.
and I've been able to handle that a lot better.
Okay.
So I was on that for about a year, and that cleared up a lot of the Lyme. Got retested, and my levels are probably about average now. I still have Lyme. Um, so I'm now doing what's called hyperbaric oxygen chamber treatment,
Oh,
and that's, yeah. So that's
yeah.
basically laying in, it kind of looks like a very comfortable coffin, which sounds really bad to say.
Mhm.
But I go do those chamber sessions 2 times a week for half an hour each. And just the high pressurized environment really is good for, oxygen flow and detoxing your body. So
Well,
I would say through that,
that's
yeah,
funny.
go ahead.
I have somebody who is gonna speak on that in our summit. and is having a lot of good results with patients with Lyme using the oxybaric chamber. I mean, that's her, the company, that's her company, using the hyperbaric
Yeah.
oxygen chamber. So you do that twice a week.
Yeah. So I used to do it once a week for an hour, but I learned that doing it for an hour was too much for my body again and actually caused more unconscious seizures. Um,
Yeah.
so again, everyone with Lyme, their approach, it's got to be different. Some people are more sensitive than others, and I just, after 18 years of having it, I am a lot more sensitive.
Yeah. Now, do you integrate any of the infrared sauna treatments or any of the cold bath treatments?
That I have not tried, but I will say that sweating in itself and working out is probably one of the most helpful things. So with me, I found that I need to work out and do cardio every single day. Otherwise, I'll have more of my spells, my seizures.
Mm.
And that's kind of where being a gymnast helped because I had practice, 6 days a week for 4 hours each. So that it just always kept it at bay. And even, now I still work out every day and keeps it at bay. I have no clue why, but I think it's just through, getting the blood flowing and getting the Lyme toxins to detox.
And,
That's a
and
big thing with Lyme.
and to move out of the body. Yeah, I found you, right? Because your handle on Instagram is Fit Life of Lauren. So I
Yep.
assume
Yep.
fitness, right, was a big part of that, or at least getting your exercise. And I
Yeah.
spoke to another gal today, and exercise is very challenging for her on her bad days. And so I know, as you said,
Hmm.
it's everybody and every Lyme patient presents so incredibly different that, it's really important to honor and listen to your body. I know she loves the sauna and the ice bath. So although she's not exercising, she's still finding that, ways to boost her detoxification pathways. And so, I
Yeah.
have read
Yeah,
that
for
that's,
sure.
yeah, incredibly important.
Yeah, man. I like to say that, even though my seizures and everything happening is not ideal, I'm just very fortunate that it does present only at night because
Yeah.
during the day I can wake up and I can have my 40-hour work week and live a, somewhat normal life and no one would ever know that I've had
That you
Lyme
have
all these
Lyme.
years or even do on the daily.
So you mentioned the gut health, and I know sometimes supplements and probiotics. Oh, well, also wanted to ask you something else. Have been a big part of that and in your healing journey. Have you changed your diet? Are there foods that you avoid or foods that you have added that you have found are beneficial?
Yeah, so the big one for me would probably be avoiding dairy as much as possible, just because it's very inflammatory for the brain, inflammatory for the body. So I do that as much as I can. Definitely choose my battles sometimes. Other than that, Lyme has really thrown off my hormones. So I do seed cycling to help with my female cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then along with the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, it's more effective when you're doing the keto diet. So that would
Oh.
be for anyone who doesn't know, very low carb, high fat, high protein diet. And
Mhm.
I've actually found that to help with brain fog and the Lyme symptoms. Because at this point, whenever I do eat more carbs, I feel a lot worse. So
So
that
now, do
is
you
what I
eat
do.
grains? Do you eat grains? Because I know sometimes on the keto, grains are
Ooh, I
avoided
think we're
often.
cutting out a little
Uh-oh.
bit.
Can you hear me? You there?
Uh,
Let's see. Am I frozen?
uh,
Hang on.
you're frozen. I can hear you though. There you go. All
Okay,
good.
we're good.
Yep, all good.
So when you say, low carb, do you avoid grains? I know gluten sometimes can be one that is a problem too. I know our pediatrician told my daughter definitely avoid the refined sugars. if she could. I mean, she's 17, so that's hard. With
Yeah.
she has Lyme, and then also they said gluten, and they encouraged her to dairy sparingly. But again, I know everybody is different.
Yeah, so I tried cutting out gluten for a while and I just found that it didn't really make a difference for me.
Mhm.
So I, before going on keto, I was eating gluten and seemed to be doing fine.
Gotcha. Okay. Now you mentioned too that, and as a woman, when you said hormonal problems, I mean, did you find that, in case there's going to be women in our audience, that did it
Mhm.
affect your menstrual cycle? Did you have more intense cramps? I mean, like, what did you have, like more severe PMS? Because that's what I think of when I think. I mean, there are other things too, but
Yeah, yeah. So because I went to this holistic doctor, Dr. Kirschling, she did the whole rundown of testing for my female hormones and my estrogen, progesterone, that was just all off.
okay,
So my cycles were irregular, and PMS was definitely
an issue.
um, an issue. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Because, I can see, I know that all of the other ladies that I have spoken with, and the different chiropractors and functional medicine practitioners so far, they do talk about how Lyme can have a huge impact on the hormonal system and the thyroid.
Yep.
And
Yep. Because
that often, what?
speaking of thyroid, yeah. So my leptin, for those who the Lymees who don't know, or people who don't know in the audience, Lyme very much affects your leptin levels and your leptin resistance. So I've come to find that I have the leptin resistance levels of a 300-pound person, meaning that my body doesn't realize it. It's safe basically and able to regulate weight and stress hormones and all that. So leptin resistance is definitely a supplement that I heavily rely on.
Okay, so that's you rely on a substance to help with that. I mean, not you rely on a supplement to help you with that. Now, which
Yep.
test did you have run? Was it the IGenics? Was it the DNA connections? I know there are a few, but that are not the Western blot.
Honestly, I can't tell you which one I had because it wasn't a traditional one.
Mhm.
Just because it was one that tested for immune system response.
Okay.
Um, clue what it's called, but
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I know there are different ones, and I was actually speaking with a couple here in Louisville this afternoon. I randomly picked up their business card because they have a Lyme support group that is now on Zoom. So they were just local, reaching just community, right? The local community. But now because they're on Zoom, they're able to reach, they've got people from 42 states, other countries. And they were telling me, even if you got the Western blot, that there are other markers that you can request that your traditional or your traditional Western medicine labs will look at, or that you can ask for, that can also be indicators of Lyme, even if you get a Lyme negative, right? Because a lot of times people get a Lyme negative from their doctor, it goes missed, they still have every symptom under the sun. But if you ask for these other two markers, then it gives you a little bit bigger picture, a little bit more of the picture. It's puzzle piecing, right? You've got to kind of puzzle
Yeah,
piece it
sure.
together.
Yeah, I did get a more comprehensive Lyme test, and it showed I had about maybe 6 or more Lyme and co-infections. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I was told that it's very common to have 3 plus Lyme
Okay,
co-infections. It's actually more uncommon to just have 1 or 2.
gotcha. So when, you know, I think of things of people, regardless of the illness or the disease in the body, that in order to find optimal wellness, you have to balance physical health, your nutritional health, your emotional, environmental, like what's going on in your environment, whether that's toxins or relationships or maybe a work environment. I mean, it could be a bunch of things, right? And then spiritual. Do you find, uh, do you have a spiritual practice? Do you find, that you use prayer or meditation or sort of a mindset shift to help you kind of deal with the emotions or the thoughts that arise, like when a tremor shows up, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, I totally understand. I like to start my mornings. Every morning, I have a devotional book that I, go grab my cup of coffee, sit in my favorite chair, read my morning devotional, and then I'll grab a journal and I write three things I'm grateful for the day and three goals I have for the day. And this just kind of gets me in the right headspace and, brings me back to ground zero even if I'm having a terrible day or, if I have a busy day coming up, it just kind of gets me in the right headspace.
Mhm.
I would also say that exercise is also my outlet for any stress or negative emotions I have. Um, but also, just heavily rely on my family and my fiance. I'll be getting married in July. So,
Well, fun.
having a good yeah, yeah, but just having a good support system, both spiritually and who you surround yourself with as well.
And what types of exercise do you prefer? I mean, are you doing yoga? Are you doing hit training? Because I would, again, everybody is going to experience something different. What do you find works for you? Because I know
Yeah,
a
so
walk
it
isn't.
definitely depends on
Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, it depends on the mood, but also depends on how my body's feeling that day. Sometimes I feel terrible from Lyme and all I can do is watch Netflix on the elliptical and call it good. But otherwise, I love doing strength training. I love hit classes, cardio. Just being a gymnast growing up, I'm used to the fast paced and pretty intense.
Hmm.
I've tried yoga. I'm trying to get into it, but I don't know. I just something about it. I not my favorite.
Well, I teach yoga and I teach Pilates, and if I'm honest, I can't say that I love it either. I just have found that, and I've been doing it for 22 years, something brings me back to my mat. So I have to wonder, gosh, where would I be without it? Right. Even though it's not
Yeah.
necessarily something I'm like, oh my goodness, and I love teaching my small group classes, but some days I'm like, nah, I do not love this modality, this movement modality.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have it, I don't know really where my body and mind would be. And so I think you do
Mhm.
have to find something that you enjoy and love. And there's value in all different forms of movement. So I know that you write a blog. Have you always loved writing?
Yep. My love for writing started in fourth grade. I can credit that to my teacher, Mrs. Angermeyer.
Mm,
So I know she still reads my blogs, but
awesome.
love writing, always have. So yeah, I started that sophomore year of college and just kind of do it as a fun hobby, hoping I can spread awareness and maybe a little cheap entertainment.
Right. And so you write about your life, your fitness, your Lyme. I saw something about practical gifts. So a little bit of everything, huh?
Yep. Anything that comes to mind, anything that's trending, anything that could be useful, you know, I figured I'd share.
Yeah, that's awesome. I bet I know for me, I wrote a little blog for a little while, and I drove Uber and Lyft for 5 years. And so I would meet these amazing people and I would hear their stories. I didn't get any Lyme, but I had some visually impaired people, and I had, fathers being reunited with daughter, like all kinds of things. And I found it really rewarding just to connect with others and then to share those stories, and to inspire. And I'm sure that's what you hope to do with your blog, is to inspire others to live what sounds like for you is a really fulfilling, even though you have this chronic diagnosis, this the diagnosis of a chronic illness, right? To let people know that life can still be, right? You can still thrive with Lyme, essentially, right? You can still live this life full of love and vitality, and uh and you are lucky enough to be able to work that 40-hour work week. I know some of the folks I've interviewed are not, and but there are people out there who need that. They need the inspiration.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And something a phrase I use a lot is that Lyme and my chronic illness has brought me a lot of blessings in disguise, and you don't really realize it sometimes until a few years later. Even if it's 16 years later, I'm still finding those blessings.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I know sometimes the illness or is can be a gift, right? Even though we don't really maybe want that gift, we're trying to open it. Oh, when you kind of take the face off, and then when you get that gift you don't like, and you
yep,
put
yep,
on a smile for a minute. Oh yeah, love it. Thanks. But that oftentimes it's a wake up call for us to make little changes like healing your gut, right? Or,
yep,
meeting different people or finding new friends in maybe the Lyme community, whatever that is. I mean, I think of COVID, and I met a whole bunch of new people I would have never met had it not been for COVID, right? And
yeah.
created a whole new community.
Similarly, if for yeah, similarly, if it were not for COVID, I would not have found out I had Lyme all this time. So,
Right. And so
so
you have to almost be thankful for it in a sense, right?
mm-hmm,
And
exactly.
we can embrace it, then we are more likely to have a better outcome. I mean, that's kind of my belief, that, it's important for us to embrace these things, as difficult as they may be, right? So
For
tell
sure.
me where we can find you. I know your handle, but will you share it and your blog?
Yeah. Yeah. So my personal handle is lauren.casey23. If you want to follow my Lyme account, it is Fit Life of Lauren, all with underscores in between the words. And then my blog is lifeoflauren.online.
Okay, so lifeoflauren.online is where you can find Lauren's blog, and then fit underscore life underscore of underscore Lauren, right?
Underscore. Yes.
Underscore at the end.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So you can follow her and get the inspiration you need every day, right? By checking those two places out, signing up for her blog or her newsletter, right? It comes to their inbox if they are interested, and they can reach out to you through there. Okay. And then what is the name of your devotional book? If you don't mind sharing. I know
Oh,
there's
goodness.
loads of devotional.
Yeah, it's called Embraced.
Okay, embrace.
I could not tell you the author, but that's
Okay.
all I know.
Okay. And so it's something you read every
uh,
morning.
yes, every morning.
Okay. And then you write down
Yep.
the three things you're grateful for.
Yep. Three things I'm
And add it
grateful for, and three little goals for the day.
oh yeah, three little goals. I think that's great, because sometimes even just making your bed can be a huge,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, I mean, it
Yep.
doesn't, they don't have to be big goals, right? They can be tiny little goals, drinking 8 glasses of water,
Mhm.
or,
Mhm.
shoot, for some, getting dressed, taking off your pajamas. I mean, that can be also a goal. So
Yep.
whatever those goals are, I think
Okay.
that's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Well, it's afternoon here in Kentucky. And I am so glad we got to meet you and hear your story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for allowing me to share it with everyone. Watch for ticks.
Yes, watch for ticks. And then real quick, do you use any sort of spray or anything that you like?
I do not. I
Okay.
probably should, but
Yeah, well,
don't.
I've had mixed things. I got one lady that said, "Ma, I've already got it. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I've had it. I know it's in my body." And then you've got others, "Oh no, I won't even go outside, just outside on the asphalt." So it's everybody's a little bit different.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.